Hello everyone, I am Dr. Pawandeep Kaur from Khalsa College of Law, Amritsar. First of all, I extend my warm welcome to all. Dear friends, the topic of our today's talk is the Muslim League Demand and Pune Pact 1932. This module has been divided into two parts. In the first part, we will discuss the demand of Muslim League, and in the second part, we will discuss important provisions of the Pune Pact 1932. The present module will make the students acquainted with the Muslim League and its demand, factors responsible for the emergence of the Muslim League, objectives of the Muslim League, the Pune Pact 1932, historical background of the Pune Pact 1932, difference between the Pune Pact and communal awards, legacy of the Pune Pact and impact of the Pune Pact in present scenario. Dear learners, let's begin with the topic. The Muslim League, formerly known as All India Muslim League, was the political organization that spearheaded the push for the creation of a distinct Muslim nation during British India's partition. To protect the rights of Indian Muslims, the Muslim League was established in 1906 when some well-known Muslim politicians met Lord Minto, the Viceroy of British India, in Dhaka in 1906 to protect Muslim interest on the Indian subcontinent. The All India Muslim League was born. On the other hand, the Pune Pact was a pact made by Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar on behalf of upper caste Hindu leaders, the Dalits and the oppressed classes on the allocation of legislative seats to the oppressed classes. It was made on 24 September 1932 at Yerwada Central Jail in Pune, India. It was signed by Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar on behalf of the depressed classes and by Madan Mohan Malviya on behalf of upper caste Hindus, Faraz Shah, Sana Iza and Gandhi. The Pune Pact has changed the Indian political history and the destiny of millions of Dalits across the country. However, the social stigma attached to the caste system remains in Indian society. Therefore, to establish an egalitarian society in the true sense, Gandhian philosophy and Ambedkar's notion of social democracy are much more relevant than ever before. In this module, effort has been made to put light upon demand of the Muslim League and the Pune Pact 1932. Now, I would like to put light upon the overview of the Muslim League. The All India Muslim League was a political party in British India. The party was founded in 1906 by Muslim aristocrats, intellectuals and businessmen in the city of Dhaka, then in the Bengal Presidency of the British Raj. The party advocated for the rights of Muslims within British India and later independence from British rule. The party achieved its objectives in 1947 when the British Raj was partitioned into the independent states of India and Pakistan. Indian National Congress was established in the year of 1885. It was formed to put the thoughts and demands of every Indian, irrespective of their religion, in the front of British government. Indian National Congress was doing well since it was cooperating with the British government. It succeeded in achieving many major changes in the structure of the government and its policies. Although Congress succeeded in many ways, it failed in gaining the trust of Indian Muslims. The Indian Muslims believed that the Congress was a Hindu-oriented group and could not work for Muslim communities as well. It led to the idea of forming a new political group separately for Indian Muslims. After the creation of Indian National Congress and its time as a representative, Party for the People of Indian subcontinent, there was a need to reassess its claims of unbiased representation. From the very start of its existence, the Congress had shown clear its interest to safeguard the rights of Hindus alone. Some of Congress leaders adopted a revolutionary policy to establish Hindu Raj in the subcontinent under the guise of national movement. The prediction of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan soon proved to be a fact that Hindus and Muslims are two different nations who have different ideologies. The Muslims of India were greatly disappointed by the anti-Muslim stance that the Congress seemed to have adopted. The events following the partition of Bengal and Urdu-Hindi controversy strengthened the desire of the Muslim to organize themselves politically as a separate community. The birth of All India Muslim League at Dhaka on 30 December 1906 came as an expression of that desire. Muslim League, originally named All India Muslim League, political group that led the movement calling for a separate Muslim nation to be created at the time of the partition of British India 1947. The Muslim League was founded in 1906 to safeguard the rights of Indian Muslims. At first, League was encouraged by British and was generally favorable to their rule, but the organization adopted self-government for India as its goal in 1913. For several decades, the League and its leaders, notably Muhammad Ali Jinnah, called for Hindu-Muslim unity in a united and independent India. It was not until 1940 that the League called for the formation of Muslim state that would be separate from the projected independent country of India. The League wanted a separate nation for India's Muslims because it feared that an independent India would be dominated by Hindus. Dear learners, further I would like to elaborate the factors responsible for the emergence of Muslim League. First one is indifferent attitude of the Congress towards Muslims. All India National Congress was a predominantly Hindu body. Its interests were always at odds with those of Muslims. By 1906, Muslim leaders were convinced that they must have their party which may speak for the community on all important occasions. Further, educational and economic backwardness. Muslims had lagged far behind the Hindus in education and economic progress. Educational and economic conditions could only be upgraded by establishing a separate Muslim organization that could represent the wishes of the Muslims. Further, Urdu-Hindi controversy. The Urdu-Hindi controversy began with the demand of Hindus to replace Urdu with Hindi as an official language in Devanagari script. Sir Anthony MacDonald, the then governor of the United Provinces of Agra and Oudh, ousted Urdu from public offices. Congress sided with Hindi and supported the movement against Urdu, and there was no other political party to support Urdu. Thus, the need for the formation of a Muslim political party was felt severely. Moving further, the evolution of Minto-Morley reforms. The turning point came in the summer of 1906 during John Morley's budget speech, in which he hinted at constitutional reforms. At that time, Muslims did not have a political platform to demand their share. It was reasserted that they wanted a separate political platform. The next one is the success of Shimla deputation. Lord Minto offered the fullest sympathy to the Muslim demands. The success of the deputation compelled the Muslims to have a separate political association of their own. Further, to save Muslim entity, the belief uttered by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan that the Muslims were somehow a separate entity. The Muslims did not believe that Hindus and Muslims formed one nation. They were different in religion, history, languages and civilization. It became essential for Muslims to establish a political party of their own. Nawab Salim Ullah Khan proposed and Hakim Azmal Khan, Maulana Muhammad Ali and Maulana Zafar Ali seconded a motion to establish the All India Muslim League. The All India Educational Conference adopted the resolution on December 30th, 1906. A committee was established to develop the organization's constitution. In addition to appointing Sir Aga Khan as president and Syed Hassan Balgrami as secretary, along with 6 vice presidents and joint secretaries, Nawab Mosim ul Mulk and Nawab Vikar ul Mulk, a central committee with 40 members was also established. Muslim League became the sole representative of Muslims as a result of its establishment. Dear friends, it is pertinent to know the objectives of Muslim League. Let's have a look. First one is to create among Muslims feelings of loyalty towards the British government and to remove misconceptions and suspicions. Second, to safeguard the political rights of the Muslims and to bring them to the notice of the government. Thirdly, to prevent among the Muslims the rise of prejudicial feelings against the other communities of India. The first meeting of the All India Muslim League took place in Karachi on December 29, 1907. Under the chairmanship of Adamji Pir Bhai, the All India Muslim League was believed from the start to have little chance of success without swaying the public opinion in Britain. As a result, Syed Amir Ali established the Muslim League branch in London. The first gathering took place at London Caxton Hall on May 6, 1908. Participants included Muslims and British citizens who supported their point of view. A political organization was established that would have a significant impact on the fate of the Muslim people of the Indian subcontinent. The trajectory of the Muslim liberation struggle was mapped out on the day the Muslim delegation was successful in getting their demand for a distinct electorate recognized. It marked the start of the development of Muslim nationalism. It produced a visible institutional expression in the shape of the Muslim League, which after a 40 years fight to realize for Muslims the pinnacle of their national dream, developed into a mass movement of Muslims and was successful in establishing Pakistan in 1947. Actually, its transformation was greatly aided by the new breed of leadership, such as Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. It made sense to develop a political party to compete in elections for Muslims representation after the Minto-Morley reforms accepted the need for distinct representation. Whatever the outcomes of the Muslim League, it was evident that Hindu interest and Muslim interest must be treated entirely separately from one another. The future amalgamation of the two settlements was impossible. It guided the ship of Muslim destiny safely through political troublesome and instability to Pakistan's safer harbour. Dear learners, in the second part of this module, we will discuss the Pune Pact 1932. The Pune Pact between Gandhi and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was made on September 24, 1932 at Yarwada Central Jail in Pune, India. It was done to reserve electoral seats for the underprivileged class of the society in the legislature of the British India in 1932. The Pune Pact 1932 was an agreement between B.R. Ambedkar and M.K. Gandhi on the political representation of the depressed classes, Dalits, untouchable, scheduled caste. A little more than a month earlier, Ramsay MacDonald, the British Prime Minister, announced the communal award that give depressed classes separate electorates for central and provincial legislatures. Gandhi viewed this as a danger to the Hindu community that would de-link untouchables from Hindus. Ambedkar and other leaders of the depressed classes welcomed the award. On 20th September 1932, while in prison, Gandhi announced a fast unto death till the time separate electorates were removed from the award. The British had given the assurance that it would make changes to the award if these changes were the result of an agreement between the communities concerned. Indian political leaders realized that the best chance to get Gandhi to terminate his fast was to facilitate an agreement between Gandhi and Ambedkar. Initially, Dr. Ambedkar was not fazed by Gandhi's fast, but later he came around and agreed to negotiate. In the end, Gandhi and Ambedkar came to an agreement, the Pune Pact 1932, that discarded separate electorates. The Pune Pact is a very short document. It contained 9 points, 7 of which laid out the manner and quantum of representation of the depressed classes at the central and provincial legislatures. Separate electorates for depressed classes did not feature in the document. Instead, the pact put forward a system of joint electorates with reserved seats. It reserved 148 seats from the general electorate for depressed classes, 78 more than what the award had proposed. The pact also called for the non-discrimination of depressed classes in public services and urged for efforts toward the fair representation of the community in public services. It also contained a provision that proposed the earmarking of a portion of the state's educational grant for depressed classes. Further, what led to the Pune Pact? Choosing separate electorates by different communities under the British government was common in 1920s and 1930s. With an example, the meaning of a separate electorate can be understood. With the growing trend of separate electorates for all communities, Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar saw the need for separate electorates for the poor and minorities, believing that the current situation was unjust to them. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar himself belonged to the minority class and had faced discrimination right from his childhood. Thus, he knew the demands of the Dalits and what was best for them. Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar approached the Simon Commission with his demands for the depressed classes. The British government partially met his demands in the communal awards of August 1932, which included, among other things, the reservation of 71 seats in the central legislatures for minorities. Dear friends, after discussing the brief overview of Pune Pact 1932, it is important to elaborate the historical background of Pune Pact 1932. The British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald on 16th August 1932 announced the communal award, which provided for separate electorates for depressed classes, which mostly included the Muslims, the Europeans, Sikhs and Anglo-Indians, and also the Indian-based Christians. The notion of separate electorates, which the British had already put in place through the Morley Minto reforms of 1909 and the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms of 1919, was upon which the award of 1932 was built. Only members of the above communities would have the right to vote to elect a representative of the same community to legislative assemblies under separate electorate system. Mahatma Gandhi severely opposed this communal award, as it was from the efforts of imperialists to divide Indian people into special interest of groups and to weaken the nationalist feelings and national movement for attaining Swaraj. In the first round table conference held in 1930, Dr. Ambedkar demanded a separate electorate for depressed classes whom he was representing. Mahatma Gandhi and the Congress party were against the idea of separate electorates for any class, as it was seen as a means to weaken and divide Indian society. Mahatma Gandhi was also not in favor of viewing the depressed classes as outside the purview of Hindu society. He thought that separate electorates for them implied that they were outside the Hindu fold. The British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald granted the communal award to minority community, including the depressed classes. Mahatma Gandhi protested against this award, also known as MacDonald Award, by undertaking a fast unto death whilst in jail in Pune. Separate electorate for Dalits was a topic on which Gandhi and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar could not agree upon. When Mahatma Gandhi started his fast, there was a public pressure on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar to step in and stop the fast. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar initially was in favor of this award, as it would give political solution for the upliftment of the depressed classes. However, a series of negotiations by Gandhiji and B.R. Ambedkar agreed upon the Pune Pact with the withdrawal of the separate electorates for depressed classes. This resulted in the Pune Pact. Further, we will discuss key points of Pune Pact 1932. The main features and terms of the pact are: the number of seats reserved for minority class out of general electorate seats in the provincial legislature was 148. The bifurcation of seats is as: the province of Madras has 30 seats, Bombay with Sindh 25 seats, Punjab 8 seats, Bihar and Odisha 18 seats, central provinces 20 seats, Assam 7 seats, Bengal 30 seats and United Provinces 20 seats. These seats will be elected through a joint electoral process. Joint electoral means that in a Muslim-led province, only a Muslim candidate can run for office, but votes can be cast by anyone from any community living in the province. The depressed class will be represented in the central legislature with 18% of seats allotted to the general electorate. Election methods specified in the pact will expire after the first 10 years or sooner if both parties agree. Every province is required to set aside a portion of the educational grant for the province of educational facilities to minorities. The depressed class should be treated fairly in all aspects of life. Dear friends, the next important question is difference between Pune Pact and Communal Award. In some ways, the Communal Award and Pune Pact were similar. However, there were some differences, such as British government's Communal Award allocated 71 seats in the central legislature to the minority community. The Pune Pact, on the other hand, increased the number of seats to 148, more than doubling the original number. The Communal Award mandated separate electorate system for seats election. In contrast, the Pune Pact mandated a joint electoral system. Now, I would like to put light on the legacy of the Pune Pact Act 1932. The Pune Pact had some positive impacts on the Dalit community, such as it specifically mentioned the fair representation of the minority class, giving them an identity and making them stand out. Number of seats reserved for the depressed class was done to make sure that their political voice does not go unheard and that even their opinions matter. The pact ensured that the entire country was responsible for upliftment of the Dalits, and they were even accepted by the high class Hindus. All this came in after the minority had been suppressed for a very long time, facing all sorts of discriminations. Dear friends, now we will discuss the most important part of this module, that is impact of Pune Pact in the present scenario. The Pune Pact, which was signed around 93 years ago, is still relevant today. In almost every government sector, there are reservations for SC, STs and other backward classes. The Indian government provides so many special schemes for the upliftment of the minority classes regularly. The depressed classes are favored in almost all sectors. All these things can be considered a result of Pune Pact of 1932. Dear friends, now I would like to conclude this module by saying that the Muslim League was founded in 1906 to safeguard the rights of Indian Muslims. At first, the League was encouraged by the British and was generally favorable to their rule, but the organization adopted self-government for India as its goal in 1913. For several decades, the League and its leaders, notably Muhammad Ali Jinnah, called for Hindu-Muslim unity in a united and independent India. It was not until 1940 that the League called for the formation of Muslim state that would be separate from the projected independent country of India. The League wanted to separate nation for India's Muslims because it feared that an independent India would be dominated by Hindus. On the other hand, the Pune Pact of 1932 was one of the most significant historical events that transformed the depressed class image in the Indian constitution and through India, making them a more acceptable social class. The Pune Pact was a turning moment in India's political and constitutional history. The freedom movement and negotiations between Indians and British were forever marred by tensions between Hindus and depressed classes that were brought to light by this pact. With this, we will end today's discussion. Thank you very much.